We also find that the gene group, the difference, could ingest certain substance, not so for the other. We are using the gorilla and the polar bear, for example. Again, the polar bear could ingest meat, and it would be proper with his dietary program and consistent with his biological and genetical structure. As for the gorilla, he cannot ingest meat. It would be adverse to his particular gene. Why? Because he was not programmed or constructed in such a way. He lives in the forest where it's tropical. Your brain would not accept seeing a polar bear sitting under an acacia tree in the Serengeti plain in the month of August. Your brain would tell you that this is something that is uncosmic, that it is impossible. Again, we go to another structure. We go to the birds. The eagle, it eats meat, but not a quetzal. The quetzal does not eat meat, yet they both are birds. One eat meat, the other eat fruits. So we go to the plants. The plants also shows us that there is a genetical marriage to the whole cosmic arrangement of things. The plant, take for instance, the burdock. The burdock plant is a plant that lives in the temperate region. Its structure allows it to live in the temperate region. But as for the kalawala lives in the tropical region of the planet. The environment is not temperate, it is tropical, so it could live. So the plants are showing us that they too obey this cosmic arrangement. As for the food of the kalawala, we find that it lacks potassium phosphate. That is the predominant mineral. As for the burdock, it is iron. So we see that both plants obey just like the quetzal and the eagle. Like the gorilla and the polar bear, we have the kalawala and the burdock. They eat different foods and they live in different environment. So now, we find that in nature, there is and there should be an obedience for one to live to the optimum level of life. One has to be obedient to the cosmic arrangement. Like the plants, the animals, the birds, the gorilla. Now we go to the Homo sapien. As we take a close look at the Homo sapien, we find that he is the only one that feels that he is not bound to such law. And in feeling that he is not bound to the law of life, he have committed various violations. Like for instance, with genetics. We are talking about genetics because it is important to know what food is consistent with the so-called black race. If the foods of the gorilla and the polar bear is different, the quetzal and the eagle, then naturally it is necessary to understand that if it applies to all of the living species, whether plant or animal, it necessarily applies to man. And when we look at the whole table of nutrition that we, the so-called black people, has been presented with, we find that we're eating the same foods that the Chinese or European and Arabs eat. Then when in reference to medication, we also are given substance that everyone else receives. So we see where there is a gross inconsistency. It is genetics that was not considered, and this is the reason why many reports that has left the USHA Research Institute, the reports such as having the ability to reverse pathologies such as sickle cell anemia, blindness, and AIDS, and the rest, was because we considered an aspect of this journey that has yet to be considered by others. We talk about genetics because it is at that very point that everything is understood. Once we understand what complements and what doesn't complement, then we are on our journey to this thing we call healing. because genetics was the most important aspect of it, and we omitted, didn't know, or whatever reason. But it was at that very point that we embarked on the journey of the African biomineral balance that was supposed to complement the genetical group of the so-called black man. With the birth of the African biomineral balance, we found that what is known as disease was not really disease. It was the manifestation of erosion caused by malnutrition. Malnutrition primarily among the African people. We were taken away approximately 400 years from our environment and from our food. Now put that into a meaningful equation and let us see what we're going to arrive at, that we will be able to help in the understanding of this thing we call nutrition and healing, because this is the subject. As we look at diets, we have to talk about the yin-yang. The yin-yang is a diet that we are told is composed of 4 yin and 1 yang, or 4 alkali and 1 acid. We find the other diet, which is the Ayurvedic. They too recommend rice, and they also recommend clarified butter, which is another substance that is acid. We find now the microbiotic. I remember when the diet first came out, I was very enthused to see what it was that they could possibly have within their structure. And when my friend came back and told me that the primary substance that was consumed in the microbiotic diet was rice, then naturally it was open for question. When we talk about a diet and we include rice, then we are seeing an acid substance. The African biomineral balance, which came to complement the African genetical structure, not only does it complement the African genetical structure, but it complements every gene on the planet, because it is the only diet that has been put together without the presence of lactic, carbonic, or uric acid. These acids are responsible for the amount of deterioration that occurs in the body. These 3 acids causes what is known as uncontrolled mitosis. So when we ingest foods that contain these acids, naturally, we are running into trouble. This is why we had to create the African biomineral balance. The African biomineral balance is known as natural vegetation cell food.
So your premise is that there is definitely a relationship between geography, genetics, and food.
Of course. If we take a look at nature, we will find that the polar bear was given his food and was given the environment that is consistent with him. It is always cold, but he's given a coat to absorb that cold and to live in harmony with it. And he's given the seal and the rest of the fish. We find the gorilla. He lives and eats bamboo shoots and berries. And where he lives isn't white with snow. It is green. There is a connection with diet, geography, environment. Of course, there is a very close connection. But this connection was not really identified with prior healers. You see, to heal, you have to put into motion everything that makes up this whole cosmic arrangement. If one component or one area is omitted, then naturally you will run into some trouble later on, because The reason for this is that life creates and protects and sustains life. If you operate outside of life vernacular, then naturally, common sense tells us that we are operating outside of life vernacular. Then what vernacular are we operating in? The vernacular or the environment of death. Sure, there is a direct link with environment, food, and genetics. There has to be.
Is it because of this premise of genetics that you have created the African biomineral balance? And if so, could you explain what's the difference between the African biomineral balance diet and the other health diets on the health market?
Well, in my previous statement, I said that the difference is that I mentioned one of the difference. Like, for instance, we talk about the rice, and we talk about the soybean, which are acids, which are part of the microbiotic. We talk about the yin-yang. The yin-yang also shows us rice, and the Ayurvedic and the allopathic. So we show that portion of it, but the other side of it is that the African biomineral balance was constructed using substance that came from the environment, the same environment that the black man was placed in by creator and creation, which is the tropics, the rainforest. Naturally, the substance would necessarily have to come from the same environment from whence he came, so that it would have the same electrical value. So we constructed it by creating these compounds, such as the Maya, as known today. We have the lympholin, and we have the Nervino and many other products. But they were constructed, or the compounds were made of herbs that came from the tropics that are very high in alkalinity. We find such herbs as the cocolmeca. We find herbs, the corazon de Jesus, which is very, very high in food. So right there, we are not following the same premise as other herbalists. Why? Because they use comfrey, they use peppermint, they use foxglove, and all these are hybrid herbs, which are incomplete molecular structure. An incomplete molecular structure is something that was created through hybriding. Hybriding means that you're going to create something that was not created by Mother Nature, and that you want to fit that within this cosmic procession. No. If it was not created by Mother Nature, then this substance should not be included in this whole procession, because it would cause an imbalance. And as we look closely at hybrid foods, we find that everything that is hybrid needs a binder, and the binder is always a chemical. So therefore, we find something that would never assimilate with you. You see, we come into the process of assimilation now. We left the African biomineral balance encompassing all of the elements. Naturally, we have to talk about everything, because everything is interrelated and everything complements. So we find now that in arranging the diet, we have to consider everything that could be of usefulness, and we have to know of everything that was not of usefulness, like the usage of comfrey. Comfrey contains starch. Starch is carbonic acid, but you find that many people who call themselves dietitian or herbalists, from a natural perspective, they use comfrey. They also use, well, like I said, foxglove, which is a very poisonous plant because it is a hybrid plant. According to nutrition, in reference to nutrition, we have to now use substance that everybody eats, but we have to select from that group of foods that we call foods, the green leafy vegetation that would do the least amount of harm to the individual, because we know that the compounds that was constructed using the herb from the tropics would deliver the kind of nutrients and energy that the body really needs. And these other things that we recommend, such as the broccoli and the lettuce or spinach, we also recommend the quinoa. These things are merely to satisfy those 400 years of conditioning, because we are people that like to eat now. But we are faced now with a catch-22, as we call it, that if we want to eat the food that we like, we're going to get sick. And if we want to eat the food that we should eat, we're going to be angry. So there is a process now of weaning from that particular diet that hurts the body. So we move you gradually away to the state of not eating. And it's not difficult. Don't even be surprised that such statement is made. It is possible. But before then, we have to gradually remove you. But first, we remove you from all of the meats because of the high cholesterol. And we all know that. The American Medical Association is telling us about the things that are harmful to our health, and that there are so many diet-related diseases that has been cropping up over a period of time. So we allow you to eat substance on the market that would not harm you as much as others. One that the African American should not consider at any time is carrots, because it too contains a high level of starch. And because our genetic structure is so high in carbon, we are very sensitive people. So whatever there is that is inconsistent with us, it would have an adverse effect on us immediately. And substance like starch has played not too much of a very well gift, or it didn't play a good role in our daily life. And I could talk about starch because I was born, as you know, in Central America, in Honduras, and I watched my aunt, my grandmother, my mother, my parents eat a lot of starch. And there is a tribe of people that I notice, that I know, the Garifunas, and they too eat a lot of starch. But then I look at the various diseases that they are beset with. There are high incidence of diabetes. I just recently left Honduras, and I remember a friend of mine by the name of Juan Gomez. We were on the ships together when I was a merchant seaman, and we talk of many things, and lo and behold, I had not seen this man in 20-some-odd years, and I saw him in Honduras in a little village by the name of Santa Rosa de Aguan, and he was always touching his eye. He was wiping his eye, and I saw his big stomach, his belly, and then I also noticed the way he walked. And I was very hurt because Juan and I are the same age. So I know what starch has done to the black race, to the African genetic structure.
Let me interrupt you for just 1 minute. I think you stepped on a number of toes back there. You said the one thing that we shouldn't eat is carrots. And a lot of people who are trying to change their diet and go into a more healthy diet, one of their mainstays, I know I, for one, did this a few years ago, carrot and carrot juice was one of my mainstays. And I'm sure that there are going to be a number of people that are going to be highly upset with that statement of not eating any carrots at all.
I could understand, and I will empathize with them, of course. They have been told that carrots were good for you, that carrot contain vitamin A and whatever carotene it contains. But carrot is not a product of life. Only the products of life could assist you. Only a product that was created by life could assimilate in you and render good. And how do we know what is created by life and what was created by a laboratory? Well, everything that nature creates it starts from the ground and it matures, and then it comes to a seed. and the seed goes back and incubates in the soil. And the following year, you have another plant like the one that just dried up. And that is continuum throughout creation. There is a seed that represents that particular product. As for carrots, it does not have a seed. A pellet is made. I gave a lecture on WLIB, and they disagree with me at WLIB, and the public disagreed with me. Well, of course, I have to accommodate that, because the information that they got about carrots and about certain foods were not as consistent as they believed they were.
Well, I'm a little confused. You say there is not a seed for a carrot?
There is no seed for carrots. In fact, 1 year after I gave that speech at WLIB, NOVA came with a program and stated that not only was it artificial, but it was made in Holland. I didn't know it was made in Holland, but I knew it was artificial because, you see, I am one that could not have drawn his premise or his material from the quantum theory. Why? Because I didn't go to school, you see. By not going to school, naturally, I had to draw from a different premise, from a different perspective, I mean. If I was a product of the quantum theory, then I would have built the foundation of Usha on a mathematical or philosophical foundation. But it was built on a natural foundation. So building this institute on a natural foundation, it means that I have to look at things from a natural perspective. And when I look at nature, nature just doesn't create starches, number one. And nature reproduces herself without the aid of a man. Of course, I make that statement.
Since we have heard the relationship between food and disease, could you then tell us what is disease?
Sure. That should have been the question to ask when we first went to see the physician or the healer. What is disease? We want to know what is disease, because if we do not know the causes of disease, then it would be impossible for us to zero in on a meaningful cure or any cure at all. What is disease? The doctors never told us, but we kept going back to him. Now the question is asked to the Usha Institute. The question should have been answered by the anthropologists and the archaeologists. Why wait for the healer to come? Because if we are diseased and we are unaware as to the cause of our disease, then whatever comes after that means absolutely nothing, because our bodies are sick. Disease is when you have ingested a substance that was uncomplimentary with your genetical structure. As for the black man, his is mucus. Disease is the cause of, mucus is the cause of all disease. This was the question posed to me in court, that why were we making these claims and why were we so successful, and what was going on? Is that disease was never identified to us. If it was identified, then the question would not be asked now, and then we all of us that are sick would be enjoying health. Well, disease is the accumulation of mucus, breaking down the mucous membrane, and that mucus covering groups of cells in your body. Like, for instance, we have the mucous membrane in the body to protect us from the onslaught of aerobic bacteria, as they are called. But this mucous membrane is for protection. But now we eat acid foods, and the acid food breaks down the mucous membrane and does cause it to flow with the blood, covering other groups of cells now, groups of cells that belongs to organs, depriving them of oxygen. If the mucus goes to your nostrils, they call it sinusitis. If the mucus goes to your bronchial tubes, it's bronchitis. If the mucus goes to the lungs, it's pneumonia. So we have three different diseases Caused by what? Mucus. So what about when the mucus goes to the prostate glands? It's prostatitis. What about when the mucus goes to the uterus of the woman? That's endometriosis or vaginal discharge or yeast infection. So we have this mucus situation now that is caused by an inadequate diet. Mucus is the underlying cause for all disease. And this is where we specialize at the USHA Research Institute in making those compounds to aid the body to remove the mucus from itself.
Well, let me ask you this question. When someone comes to the USHA Herbal Research Institute and they've been diagnosed by their doctors having the AIDS virus in their body, are your dietary recommendations and herbs that you prescribe for them, are they any different from what you would subscribe for someone who has a different disease like sickle cell anemia? Is there any difference?
There is no difference. There is absolutely no difference. And this was shown to me in St. Croix, where the USHA Research Institute opened its doors for the first time under the name of the Fig Tree at 429 King Street in Frederickstad, St. Croix. Three people came to see me. One had diabetes and blind and delirium tremens, which was Miss Margaret Allen. And then we had another gentleman by the name of Flores Archias with gout. And then we had another lady with arthritis, Miss Sylvester. And they noticed that they had the same compounds in front of them. Flores Archias said to me, "I think you're making an obvious mistake." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because I didn't come with the diseases that all these other people have. One is blind and diabetic and delirium tremens. I do not have that, but I have the same bottles they have." Sure. I have to cleanse the body. Whether you have AIDS, blindness, diabetes, or whatever disease, the cells are now obstructed with mucus. Like in the case of AIDS, the only thing I have to do is to give you an increased dosage of lympholine that is going to revitalize the lymphatic system. Sure, it is the same treatment. There's the cleansing, an intracellular cleansing coupled by the African biomineral balance. This is for every pathology or irritation presented. Yes, we get the same treatment.
Mm-hmm.
This article in the Amsterdam News states that...
Man, peace, melanated, man. Hey, yeast infection is the mucous membrane being broke down by certain things, and then if it flows through your blood and reaches to your uterus, it covers the groups of cells and parts of your uterus that protects you from the overbuilding of bacteria. Once these cells are covered in this mucus and not allowed to get enough oxygen, it doesn't do such job, therefore the yeast gets to build up. You constantly have an influx of acid and alkaline things in you, and the cells in your body regulates it. Once the cells in your body are covered at a molecular level by mucus, the cell inability to get oxygen through the membrane compromises that part of the body, creating different things. So yes, a yeast infection is the growth of yeast, but the yeast is only able to grow because the cells that's supposed to protect the uterus is covered in mucus and can't get oxidized and do its job. So he's not wrong. And his passion is what it is. Yes. But your body is not able to fight the yeast infection because of the mucus. That's what it is. Your body is constantly regulating and cleansing the organs. Your constant threat of disease is just the way that we eat heightens it, and the prolonging of eating like that can sometimes bring disastrous results. It's the same thing. The cells being covered by mucus is the same thing as yeast building up, because the cells are not able to take the yeast and do what it's supposed to do chemically with it and cleanse the body or whatever. Same thing if the mucus get in your lungs. Same, you get pneumonia. Same things if the mucus get in your fucking nasal passage. Same thing if it gets, you know what I'm saying, in certain parts of you, then the cells in those organs aren't able to work properly. And it compensates for that by creating tumors or You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. And so nowadays, doctors look at each thing specifically and name it something specifically. But yeah, Dr. Sabi is right. Basically, for Africans, once you get an overabundance of mucus in certain parts, it stops the oxidization of cells. And depending on where those cells are at, that organ takes an ass whooping. So.
Emma Wright, a former sickle cell patient, after being on your dietary regimen, has been cured of sickle cell. If so, how come the medical world does not know about all these miraculous cures?
Well, it could be attributed that the very premise that they uses, the usage of carcinogens and inorganic substance, could be undermining their profession. But if we look at the history of medicine, we find that the credit was given to one Hippocrates as being the father of medicine. Didn't he build the foundation of medical science by using herbs to reverse pathology? Sure, he used herbs, and he was successful in removing all pathologies. But he used herbs. So if the father of medicine used herbs to remove pathology, then why should the physician use chemicals today? That question should be asked of them. What is the reason? Now, as for the miracles, the herbs assimilate because they contain carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. This is the vehicle that would allow any substance to assimilate within your biological structure. The presence of carbon, that only comes from the plants. It does not come from some oxide or inorganic substance. But as for Miss Emma Wright and her sickle cell, the mucus was invading her blood plasma, breaking it from a circle into a sickle, allowing oxygen and iron to escape. That is one of the things that we also found in our journey into this thing we call the African biomineral balance. Is that like the burdock eats iron and the kalawala phosphate, potassium phosphate, the black man needs large amount of nascent iron. That is his mineral. Like iron is consistent with the burdock, like bamboo shoots and berries are consistent with the gorilla, all plants that contain iron is consistent with the genetic structure of the black race. In the case of Miss Emma Wright, iron was missing in her diet, not only in hers. Every so-called black American or every so-called black man throughout the world is lacking of iron. So what did we do? We cleanse the cells of the blood, cleanse the cells of the bone, cleanse the cells of the spleen, thus allowing rejuvenation in the organs that are responsible for delivering good, healthy red blood, and giving the blood its strength by going again to the tropics and getting the herbs such as the mucilage to make compounds with other herbs, which are 14, to rejuvenate the cells of the blood. And 2 months later, she came back and said that her sickle cell had disappeared. But this is a problem that is besetting Africa also, not only Miss Emma Wright, every black living person. But not only did she have sickle cell, she told me that she was suffering with thalassemia, which I was unaware of, but I didn't care because she was going to undergo the same process as everyone else. She said her thalassemia had disappeared. But then she found out later when she was in Los Angeles that she ate something that I recommended to her not to eat, and her body went back into the same state that it was prior. But she changed her diet again, and again she saw where her body was back in normal state. So it shows that the diet of the African American, especially the black man, has to be considered now. Has to be considered because it is one that has never been presented to us. And it's very crucial, not only with the sickle cell, with any other pathology.
Well, it certainly sounds like you know what you're talking about. Your concepts are very interesting and they make a lot of sense. Can you explain to me why the newspapers, I want to show you some headlines in some of the newspapers, phony AIDS doc is ordered to stop. Here's another one. AIDS doctor banned from medical practice. AIDS do-it-yourself treatment, and below that is felonious herbs. A herbalist who claims to cure AIDS is nabbed. He calls arrest racist and a smear campaign. Then last but not least is Herbal Research Institute. Is it being discredited? It sounds as though these institutions were out to get you. And I would like to know why it is they brought you up on charges. Was there any kind of investigation made at all in your claims that you made?
There is a kind of mania that exists on the planet today that prevent truth from being accepted because the untruth is moving at such a tremendous momentum that truth now is in a very precarious position at this time. Because why? Example, I am the citizen of a country, and I have been engaging in certain practices of this thing we call nutrition and healing. And people that has been serviced by the Institute have claimed to have all these things reversed, and it's published. Instead of arresting this individual, it should have been investigated. Well, this is like ideally speaking. But we do not live in that society today, in such society that is ideal. We live in one that is full of anger. I was not surprised that the Attorney General would arrest me. In fact, the police, when he came into this place, he drew his gun, and I asked him, why did he have his gun drawn? He said, to surprise me. I said, but I've been waiting for you for 18 years. So you're the one that's surprised, not I, because I knew you was coming. Why? One is that there is great amount of money involved in natural healing that would deprive the pharmaceutical laboratories, I suppose, because there's money to be made up of those chemicals. But are we going to sacrifice the life of America and the world for the sake of chemicals? Isn't that another catch? Sure, he had to arrest me. Maybe in favor of the chemical people. Or maybe it is that he didn't know. Or another is that he placed me in the category of the previous healers that came. They didn't do anything. They didn't make any claims. They didn't do anything. So naturally, if one out of a flock of people that has not shown anything or stood up for their own rights, if they had accomplished something, well, he just part of the pack. And I was not in disagreement with the Attorney General because he did his job. But it was his mistake by assuming that I was part of the pack. I am not part of any pack. Never has been, never could be.
Well, so in other words, what you're saying is they just assumed that you were a fraud.
They assumed that I was a fraud.
Why didn't they at least, were there any tests or any analyzations made at all, either on their part or on your part?
Again, I did not expect them to analyze the product or investigate me. I never expected that, because that is not the interest of the Caucasian. That should not be his interest. His interest is himself. And he's right, 100%. I was waiting for somebody from the black so-called community to be interested, favorable. But then I heard that all the doctors in Harlem condemned me to the penalty of $1 billion raw. So I was caught between a rock and a hard place. But I was comfortable because I knew that this existed. So what the Attorney General did was consistent. He was protecting he called himself, he was protecting the clients or the population, which is his job. But he should have investigated the Usha Research Institute before arresting me. The ad read, AIDS has been cured by the Usha Research Institute, not SEBI. SEBI is only a member. My wife plays the most important role. because she's the one that makes all the compound. And she's the one why I am sitting here today, because I was a steam engineer, very comfortable. She was the one that started healing all these diseases and doing all this stuff and have me here now in front of the world. But she's back in Puerto Rico having a ball.
Well, did you do any lab tests at all on your part? Because if you come out and make statements contrary to what the establishment makes, you should have at least backup proof to prove the statements that you're making, knowing that they're not going to go along with what you're saying. Did you do any lab?
Well, of course. We had a product sent to Lancaster Laboratories, where you will see that the amount of minerals and chemicals that they found in our product was over and above that which was on the market. So they too agreed that it could have been a possibility that this thing had the power, the energy to do what we say it was doing. But what they found in the laboratories that I was charged with was practicing medicine without a license. That was one of the charges. And in that, what happened, they found that the product contained calcium, phosphorus, oblium, gold, silver, protein, whatever they mean by that, and all the other substance that makes up the whole structure of life. So it did not fall in the category of practicing medicine. These are herbal compounds known as natural vegetation cell food. The other one were that all of the diseases I claim I cured, well, the people came to the courthouse and you all gave the testimonies, all of them did. So that was also dropped. So it was a mass confusion. It was not that he was, I suppose many people want to claim that he was deliberately angry at me personally. I guess he thought he was doing his job well when he was not.
What is the difference between your herbal vegetation food and the foods we normally eat, such as hamburgers, fried chicken, chitlins, or even those who consider themselves vegetarians? Could you explain the difference?
Well, those foods, as you know, they contain acids and carbohydrates, and some people prefer to use those food groups to attain whatever mineral or nourishment they need. The difference with the USHA compounds and those other foods is that the USHA diet, the USHA compound does not allow the body to accumulate cholesterol, triglycerides, calcium carbonate in the body, which obstruct and causes all of these ailments that we call disease today. The difference is they have cholesterol and grease, and many of them are hybrid. With the USHA diet, no. We have a group of compounds that is free of all carcinogens, plus the cholesterol.
Many people who have very little or no knowledge of natural foods and natural healing ask questions such as these. What are herbs and where do they come from?
Herbs are part of the kingdom of the plants. I don't know why they're called herbs, but maybe because of their character. A tree lasts forever when it grows, matures. An herb goes regeneration every year. So it drops the seed, it matures. Where do they come from? I don't know where herbs come from. Where does anything come from? Nature created everything. We know that these things are here. I would never make any attempt to try to even give anyone a conception or misconception that I am placing myself in the same environment as others, as answering such a question by where do they come from? Where did the elephant come from? No one knows that.
Are colonics part of your intracellular cleansing?
Well, no, I could not consider colonics because it is going against the grain. First of all, you are pushing water against the sewer line, water that will contaminate the colon. You will put bacteria in the colon that was never there before. Life form. They're not bacteria, but they're life form that was never in your body because you have a protective measure, the mucous membrane. Then you have the hydrochloric acid in the stomach that protects you against any invasion as far as your intestinal tract. But now you're bypassing those safety mechanisms, going against the grain and pushing water at 15 pounds per square inch pressure, thinking that this is going to remove disease. No, you have just caused other diseases by admitting into the body of someone those aerobic bacteria. And now they're going to find seed in there because the water is not sterilized. No, I could not consider this thing we call colonics. It's impossible.
How do I begin to start healing myself naturally?
Well, for one, you begin by abstaining from the foods or group food that you've been ingesting, allowing the body to release all of what it has accumulated over the years, such as I know someone that eat pork all their life. Now, I saw him just recently, Gustavo, and he's fat. So he had to fast. So he's fasting and taking the compounds. You begin, the cells regenerate. The cells heal themselves by allowing oxygen. See, what you do is to fast to allow oxygen to enter those various organs, to reach them via your arteries with the blood. The nasal passages has to be clear because oxygen is the real food. It's the fuel of the body. Deprive of that for 2 minutes, you will not live to tell the story.
So what are some of your future plans for the Usha Herbal Research Institute?
Well, naturally, we plan to open a holistic center in Central America in the middle of the rainforest. And the reason for that is that when someone is suffering from these things we call disease, it is best to have them in a controlled environment where they would receive only the things that the body needs and that they would be distracted. They would not be distracted from the noise and the invasion. Because when you start eating foods that you're accustomed to, once you smell them, it's going to trigger off a mechanism in the brain. Then a hormone is going to begin to demand of you that you ingest these things and eat them. But no, in the forest, you will get the benefit of not smelling those things and also getting the herbs fresh to you, very fresh to you. Like we're going to open a place in Sambo Creek in the beautiful lush forest, which you'll be getting pure oxygen. Then you have on the property a waterfall that is delivering water straight from Mother Nature to your cells that has no chemicals. That is necessary. That is our plan. But as you know, it requires a lot of time, energy, and also finance. We are new. But this is our future plan to develop.
In closing, Dr. Sebi, what would you say is the most important issue facing black people regarding their health and well-being in a world that's overwhelmed with sickness and disease?
What is the most important thing at this point has always been the most important thing, our health. Instead of us entertaining history and anthropology, we were supposed to be entertaining health. Health now meant that we had to follow the same road our ancestors lived in Africa. So right now, it is our health. Our health is the most important thing. Our health is what will bring us together. Our health would have us loving ourselves and others. But as for the meantime, our health has been disregarded. And then we are fed mathematics and anthropology and archaeology. Our health is most important. Without that, nothing could be achieved. Yes, and in so doing, we have to consider mineral. Again, remember what I said. Iron. Large doses of iron. And abstain from those foods that are inconsistent as much as we possibly can.
We have heard you speak of your devoted wife, Ma'a. Could you please elaborate and tell us what role she played in your healing journey?
She played the entire role. Because when it was presented to me, like I was a steam engineer, and she came into my space and have complimented me, and now she's complimented the whole world. People know me as Dr. Sebi, but she makes all the compounds. It is not I that you drink. You drink what Ma'a makes. But I expected that because a woman, she's always wiser and stronger than any male. And I never forgotten what my mother told me, that I could not be greater than the person I came out of. So I could not be greater than Ma'a. So Ma'a sit back in the corner and allow me to present this to you. But I am not the sole responsible individual for this particular journey. It is my wife, Ma'a. She made it possible for these things to be created because she began manufacturing them. She began seeing people while I was still an engineer. So having this kind of wife, I guess, it helps the individual. But then, as a male, I had to recognize that Ma'a had just as much or more to offer than what I had to offer. And in recognizing this, the woman, the black woman, naturally, it was easy for me to submit and to reap the benefit from such position because I could be in error. And if she is obedient to me, she would collaborate with my error only because she may not want to really hurt my feelings. But then in so doing, she hurt the whole family. Well, I was fortunate that I met a woman that is uncompromising. She compromised to no male, and that's including me. She is my mate, partner, which I love very dearly and love very much, and understand even more than my love. So it is Ma'a that deserves the credit. And it began with the treating of the people, introducing this, began with Usha, my little girl, when she was born. That's when the journey of healing began, because Usha is the name of the little girl, my daughter, that represent the name of the Institute. So all of these people that are not here to receive the credit that everybody wants to give me that I don't deserve, they are always in the background. Yes, my wife played the most important role in bringing this subject of healing. And this is another level of healing that we need to explore, is to understand our woman, is to see her and compliment her. She compliments us. Our job is to compliment her. Again, remember what I said in looking at Mother Nature for the answer. The beaver does not build the dam. He cuts the tree down. It is the female that builds the dam. She knows how to build the dam. It is the female bear that builds the den. So it shows consistency. So I wasn't surprised. Fortunate for me, and those of us who have received the benefit of what she herself, Ma'a, brought, that we get to know her and that I share this space with her. And I am so grateful because I do not feel like a healer. It is Ma'a, the healer. Yes, everything is due to her.
Well, we want to thank you, Dr. Sebi, for sharing such valuable information with us. And it's overwhelming. Your healing journey has been overwhelming.
It was my pleasure and my duty. Thank you.
Thank you again. For those of you interested in securing a videotape of the African Biomineral Balance video, you can get it at 616 Pacific Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11217. For further information, call 718-230-7676. And I want to thank the audience today for allowing us to disseminate this valuable information to you. We hope it would be of value to you. As much as we enjoyed giving it to you, we hope you enjoy receiving it. Thank you.
that says he could do a bunch of stuff. If I remember correctly, Kirby said when we were 12 that he wanted money. I hope he made millions of dollars. I don't have any millions. I don't even have $1,000. Which I don't. But that's okay. I live. I found that avenue, or it was shown to me how to live. Not to read books. Because everybody reads books. But yet, society is deteriorating more every day. Everybody reads books. The brother called the other day on the radio and said that he asked about corn, right? Corn? He read books. He said that the text, the Kemetic text showed him that corn is good. Well, he better examine his text because corn was made by man. But anyway, Kirby said he wanted money. That was a Thursday. Tom Frower said, Kirby is coming tomorrow. So I said, well, if Kirby didn't make his millions, I'm going to remind him that we are alive. We are alive. Kirby didn't arrive. Kirby would never arrive. They had to take axe to chop the hotel door down. Kirby died of a heart attack. Kirby weighed 390 pounds. Kirby wanted money. He became a cab driver in New York. I didn't want any money. I didn't want it then nor now. Because it's not important in your life. It was never important in our lives. The Maya shows that. The Maya built pyramids. The Maya lived for millions of years in the jungles of Central America. No money. The Africans? How long did we live in Africa without money? Since creation. Now they tell us we need money to fight AIDS. Brothers and sisters, we are at a deficit, a tremendous deficit, a deficit that if we do not pay attention, I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did, because I remained that obedient boy that just lost his mama 4 days ago. I listen. I listen. But to listen, you can't have a philosophy in your head. If you have a philosophy in your head, you cannot listen to anyone. I was there. I was a Seventh-day Adventist. I listened to no one but those things that came from the church. Well, if I was to listen to the church today, the Seventh-day Adventists, I'll be eating tofu. I'll be sick. You see? I'll be eating tofu. If I had gone to school, I would have become a medical scientist. I wouldn't have been able to cure AIDS, because they do not. They don't cure AIDS. If I had listened to all of the philosophies of Europe, I would have never been able to find the answer to the cure of diseases. But today, I'm going to share with you the African wisdom, the African brain, the African genesis, the African resonance, something that was never taught to us in the schools. Well, why should we expect the school to teach us something that would enhance our growth and save our lives? Why should the school teach you that? When in history has there ever been examples to show that one race of people is indebted to another? That has never been. Then you tell me that the white man is a bigot. The white man was never a bigot. He was never a discriminator. The white man is a person that obeys the first law of nature. Self-preservation is the first law of nature. So the white man, whenever he proceeds to preserve his race, and we sit back and say He's a bigot. It's only because we have lost it and we don't even know how to get ourselves out of this mess. I'm one of them. I'm you standing here. But one day, it was to be that your brother would be shown something that would change the profile of things. I left my country, where I was born then. In 1953 to New Orleans, I became a merchant seaman. I was 20 years of age. As a merchant seaman, I became an engineer 5 years later. I'm a steam engineer. Don't ask me how I did that, because that's going to baffle you, because I've never been to school, and I don't read books. I don't read books now, nobody's book. I'm not even going to read my own. Because all the book readers come to me asking me, how did you cure AIDS? But that's like asking the gorilla, hey man, how come you keep yourself healthy without a hospital? How come you don't have any medicines? We'll begin. I became a merchant seaman right quick to take you through my life. Left Honduras without going to school, became a merchant seaman, became an engineer, worked for the County of Los Angeles as an engineer. While as an engineer, the County of Los Angeles, something is to happen. Something is to change my life completely. First, it was a Mexican. The Mexican said to me, you're dying. I said, I know. How do you know? Because I fell out going to the bathroom on Sunday afternoon, and I didn't reach the bathroom. I got up off the floor. Something must have happened between there and the bathroom. But I had gone to the neurologist, the endocrinologist, the GER practitioner in Russia, in England, in Germany, in France, United States. And they were people that knows what it is about. They had the great big books on medical science. But my asthma and my diabetes, my impotence was kicking. What happened to the books? They read books. All the physicians that treated this boy read books of all kinds. Nothing happened. I goes to Mexico, and the Mexican have a goat in his house. Every 5 words it was bad, bad. And I'm looking around. The Mexican said, the goat bothering you? I said, no. You're dying because you are disobedient. Then he brought the Holy Bible. Honor thy mother and thy father, that thy days may be long upon the land. That's in the Bible, isn't it? But how could we honor our mother and our fathers when we don't even know what they were about? You don't tell that to an elephant to honor his mother, because when he's born, he follows his mother and watch what his mother eats. Do you and I know what our mothers ate in Africa? We don't know, yet we dialogue. We dialogue on this level of intelligence because I know Plato, I know Aristotle, I know all about Diogenes, but you don't know what your mama ate. So everything that you talk about means absolutely nothing. So you see where they have us at a deficit? That's why we need each other. Now when I became an engineer, the Mexican said, stop eating. Don't eat anything. For how long? 3 months. I said, are you crazy? He said, no, you nuts. You ask me if I'm crazy. You've been eating garbage for 30 years. You've been eating garbage. And I'm going to remove the garbage for 90 days, and you ask me if I'm crazy. What was I eating? Hog maws, chitlin, neck bones, crackling bread, lawn in New Orleans. Eggs, because the grown-ups told me when my penis wasn't getting hard, eat eggs. Drink raw eggs. And I did, by the dozens. And nothing happened. The Mexican said, don't worry about it, don't eat. 90 days later, I was no longer impotent, no longer diabetic, no longer asthmatic, no longer with glasses on my eyes, and this stomach hair was 42. What happened to the science that the physicians were using, medical science? It didn't work, isn't it? But it worked with me. The herbs work with me. This Bible says, in the book of Revelation, it says 22 verse, and the first chapter, it talks about the herbs for medicine. Am I right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, what could have happened to us that when my brother, who was a preacher for 30 years, was sick, and instead of going to God's medicine, he went to the physician to get a chemical in his arm. My brother died 21 years ago. I'm not a preacher. I would never be a preacher. I told that to my mother. She wanted me to be the preacher. I said, no, 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 no. That would be the last thing that I would consider. She said, why? I said, because I want to live truth. Even if it kills me, I'm going to live truth. And truth is, the Bible says that the herbs are for the healing of the nations. But the preacher, when he gets sick, he go get a chemical. What is the message he's sending to God? Come on, just be truthful. Let us be truthful today. If never again in our life, let us be that today. Why do we go to see the doctor to give us a chemical when the Bible says the herbs are for the healing? Why do we go? Well, you're going to soon find out. That's what affected me then, and probably affecting me now, to a great degree, more than I would ever realize. Because remember, I want to go to the blackboard. Roughly speaking, Africa. Way overhead, we put America. They are 4,500 miles. What happened between here and here? A lot happened. You see, when we were here, without the mathematics, without the ABC, without the sciences, when we were here, we had something to our advantage that we no longer have here. We are blind here. Here we weren't. We were seeing. Why? Because God provided us with everything we needed here. And none of it was comfrey or rice and beans. There were no tofu. There were no soy there. There were no cows. And there were no hogs, no chicken. There were no flour. Those things didn't come from Africa. You see rice and beans and flour and cheese and meat and the starch that you eat, they all came from right here, from a laboratory. Now, for us to eat, you have to have in your big skull the understanding of biochemistry. But when we were here, we didn't have to know anything about biochemistry. Why? Because God doesn't make poisons. You see, God doesn't make carrots. Well, let me put it here. Stop the garbage. Anytime someone tells you that tofu is good for you, that someone that just gave that information to you has one eye open. But he's confident that when he tells you to eat carrots and you drink it, you have both closed. So a one-eyed man is king where everybody's blind. But the one that recommends the tofu is only half seeing. He's blind. He got one eye open only. But he doesn't know it. Example. Before we get into the real lecture, pull this out. This is how people take privileges on us. They don't care about us. They bring us information that, oh God, that's why the rest of the world laughs at us. Because they know that we have both eyes closed. Here it is. Moringa. Moringa has 23 times the iron in spinach. Spinach has iron? No, because spinach, let me take my time because there's a whole lot of information. I don't want to jog it up. Anything that has a pH of 7 plus is alkali. Anything that has less 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is acid. Spinach. Acid. Why compare moringa with spinach? When spinach has a starch base, it has no iron. 7 times the calcium in milk. Milk has calcium. Well, I stopped drinking milk 42 years ago, and I could fall on my knees. You drink milk with moringa, because they said to mix it with milk and some pages here, you're not going to fall on your knees at 73. You're going to leave your knees down there. 11 times vitamin A that you find in carrots. Carrots has vitamin A. Carrots belongs on the acid side of life. So right there, and they send it to mix with carrot juice. Why would they do that? Then up here, they talk about the Ayurvedic system of medicine, recommends moringa. The Ayurvedic is Indian. The Ayurvedic system of medicine recommends cow milk. The Ayurvedic system of medicine has never cured any disease, nor moringa, nor any other system in the world. You know what this is like? When Steven Seagal tells me to come to his house because he had a headache for 5 years. Well, I knew why the headache was in his head. It was removed in less than 10 minutes. He had the bottle and said, this bottle is powerful. I said, yeah, powerful, huh? He said, yeah, the headache is gone. You know, he's the Dalai Lama, right? He wanted me to go to Kathmandu. Kathmandu? I'm going to go to Kathmandu. To do what? Talk to lamas. Lamas for what? What am I going to talk to lamas for? They couldn't cure your headache that you had for 5 years. The lamas need to come and see me, not me, the lama. But since we were compromised, we left all our food in Africa. You and I don't even know what we ate in Africa. So don't even go there. But we have the opportunity because one of your brothers happened not to go to school and look outside of the paradigm of school and found something altogether different. And what did I find? That anything that God made is on the alkali side. Why? The molecular structure is complete. It was made by nature, not man. Anything that God made has no starch. That's another thing. Anything that nature makes has no starch. Anything that man made has to have starch because starch is a binder. To titrate 2 unequal chemicals, you have to use a starch. Starch is not a food. Starch is a chemical. And what have we been eating since they took us away from Africa? Starch and blood. Starch and blood. We didn't eat blood in Africa. Gorilla doesn't eat blood. He eats leaves and berries. But gorillas are sane. They listen to each other, and they have a society well put together. Well, Sebi, when he became the engineer, and he found out that the pH value of things had a lot to do with healing and the properties that's to be used, I was happy. I used to run home. Guess what I found? I found that the herb that everybody's talking about is acid, and everybody's using it. What herb is that? Comfrey. She said, what? I said, yes, it's on the acid side. And so is rose hips, enchilesia. What about golden seal? That's right, golden seal was made. It's like the stick that you put in your mouth. They call what? What they call it? The chew stick. What they call it? Liquid stick. Everybody have liquid stick in the mouth, right? But liquid stick was made. It has 50 times more sugar than does sugar itself. It has glycerinic acid. You see, we didn't have to study biochemistry in Africa because everything we had there was on the alkali side, so we could eat anything. But when they brought us here, you're going to put some clothes on now. And after they put the clothes on you, come here, boy. You got to get in front of this classroom. You have to learn this ABC stuff. But hold it now. Gorilla doesn't take their cubs to be trained by polar bears. Gorillas train her own cubs. The gorilla way. But no, you and I, our parents couldn't do better. They had to take us to the school because they wanted to save us, protect us, because that's mother. Mother doesn't want child to suffer. So mother was shown that if child didn't go to school, they'd be illiterate, and the society is made up where you must go to school if you want to buy a Mercedes. But in our society, school, what you mean by school? We don't have such animal. We build things. And those who've been to school can't even build the pyramids today. Not in Honduras, not to mention the pyramids in Mexico. They're 4 times the size of the pyramids in Egypt. Oh, yes. I know Ben joking, I didn't talk about that. But that's okay. Because he needs help like I need help. We all need help. So the school that we thought was going to be so equitable, so useful, has become a deterrent. Because those that have been to school doesn't cure anything. How did I learn and I didn't go to school? Easy. We baby-aged kids, we don't die. Right? We do it. I'm not wiser than you. I may be more mischievous than you. I know that because I do some mischievousness that you would not believe. But anyway, as an engineer, I went to work one night and I began to test herbs. And I begin to see that all the herbs that you guys are using are acid, every single last one of them, except for burdock, yellow dock. They're natural herbs. And the other one, which is the red clover, that's a natural herb. They're alkali. They're very good. So I begin by compounding herbs from all over the world. And lo and behold, a blind man was killed named Mr. Fredericks. Then the Japanese, Fred Takashita's wife was killed of endometriosis. She had a baby. She was never supposed to have a baby. It's a white lady from Utah. My boss brought his daughter and his brother with ulcers. They were cured. The boss came to me one afternoon and said, so you're going to leave me? I said, yep. He said, you're going to leave me? On your resume, you said that you didn't go to school. And the only reason why I hired you is that I was curious to find out how could a man have an engineer license, never been to school. I wanted you to fail. But instead, you did something that is extraordinary. Are all black people like you? I say, Brett Howell, his name is Brett Howell. Are all black people like me? I say, I'm the dumbest. Yes, they're all like me and more powerful than me. But how come they're not doing what you're doing? You killed the blind man. You killed my daughter's ulcers. Could they do that? I said, they could do it better than me. But why are they doing it? Because they're afraid of you. I'm not afraid of God. I'm not afraid of the devil. I'm not afraid of anything, especially you. Because I don't live in fear. So I say, Brett Howell, the black man of America is afraid of you white people because you guys made him afraid of you. And you should not feel good about that. It's not about me hating white people, loving black or hating black. It's about understanding. Nobody's going to help us but us. Nobody in this world, whether white, black, Chinese, or Arab, could help us. It's impossible for them to help us. Why? Because they don't know us. They don't have our genetic predisposition. Look, as a Christian, I used to eat pork. Of course I eat pork, and I love it. But as a Muslim, I eat lamb, which is 10 times worse than pork. So what do I do? Who do I turn to? So after I quit my job, the boss said, wait just a minute, because I think you're crazy. You're leaving your job as a steam engineer in 1980, when herbs in 1980, I'm making $2,900 a month. I'm going to leave my job with 10 years seniority to come after some herb that you didn't like. Why did I do this? I had to do it. It wasn't that I could see that far. I can't see beyond my nose. Talk about years ahead. But I had to quit my job. And I had to question myself, why am I doing this? But I did. And 1980, the boss is looking at TV, 1987, on the 10th day of February, and he see CNN, Alfredo Bowman, a.k.a. Dr. Sebi, is arrested for practicing medicine without a license, selling product not approved by the FDA, and claiming to cure AIDS and other diseases, which is a fraudulent claim. The boss saw that. The boss' wife is in the bathroom because he told me the story himself. He called her out, come and see the man that's arrested. If he says he cure AIDS, I know he cure AIDS, because Brett Howard knew that I would never compromise myself to a lie. When I talk, I know what I said is not true, but I also know that in America, you could also be dead right. But it doesn't matter. It does not matter. I'm 73 already. They kill me tomorrow, it's all over with. I rather reach 73. My brother, who was a preacher, he only got to 50. But I stuck with you, the black woman. That was my success. You, the black woman. I always kept my eyes on you. Nobody else, not the maid, because I'm one. We don't do nothing. We can't do anything. We need you. Because it is you that held our hand. It is you that breastfed us. My mother breastfed me for only 4 years. But that was sufficient. 1962, two statements was made in a barbershop. 1640 Claiborne Avenue, New Orleans, Louisiana. Timothy Barbershop. Tim Barbershop. Ernest Moriel walked in there when he was a lawyer. And every time Ernest came in the barbershop, we used to jump on Moriel. I mean, we used to kick him around the place. Moriel said, "You see you niggas? One day, I'm going to become mayor. And I'm going to remember you, Alfredo." That's me. The big mouth. "I'm going to have you in jail." Ernest became the mayor of New Orleans. I was in Los Angeles, and the most hurting thing in my life was when I heard that Moriel had passed with asthma, a disease that I used to suffer with, that I was cured of in Mexico, and that I have addressed so many times. Moriel died. Ernest Moriel. Then another statement was made by me in that same barbershop. I said that I would give the black woman a gift. Brother said, Logan said, "Sapphire?" I said, "Yes, Sapphire, your mama." I said, "She was the first, you came out of her. She held your hand. She teach you everything about the basic things of life, and then she cut you loose. Now she worth nothing. She's Sapphire. I'm going to give her a gift." 1962, that statement was made. But 1962, I was sick. I had asthma, I had diabetes, I was impotent, I had everything under the sun. But in 1964, I was cured, and years went by. Then I found out this is the gift to the black woman. The healing that I found is in your hands now, black woman. Yes, it's in your hands. So in 1987, I was arrested. And while I was in jail, I was the happiest man in the world. Because when I was 40 years of age, I was going to work, and I passed by Miss Louise Wright's house on my right, and I made a statement: "I'm going to help humanity." And here it is. 1987 is the showdown. I was arrested. All of the people in New York that were healers, I don't need to call their name. They say, "Yeah." They got the big mouth. They were angry with me because I put an ad in the Village Voice and the Amsterdam News and the New York Post. AIDS has been cured by the USHA Research Institute. And we specialize in cures for leukemia, sickle cell, impotent, blindness, cancer, and others. Well, after all, I did it. Shouldn't I advertise it? You should be glad your brother's doing that. Because now you have a chance to share in the bounty, right? That's the way I felt. So I'm in jail and I'm wondering, how is the American Medical Association going to escape from this one? You see, in the past, herbalists, when they talk, shh, gotta be quiet. Gotta talk under the table, because the physician may get you. The FDA gonna get you. But we seem to forget the one basic thing. When they remove us from Africa, did they bring our food with us? Did they? Well, how could the FDA have such kind of power over us now? Come on now, just wake up to it. So I stood in jail thinking, how am I going to do this one? This is going to be a heavy number, but it's nice because I wanted this moment. I wasn't going to back down. What you mean, back down? I'm representing some black woman. I never had a father. I never had a man in my confines to tell me something. No, I never had a stepdaddy. I had a woman. And then another woman, my grandmother. My great-great-grandmother lived to 124. Her name was Elizabeth. And she lived 70 years without a man. My great-grandmother lived 112. She lived 68 years without a man. My grandmother died at 100. And she lived 50 years without a man. My mother died 5 days ago. And she racked up 40. My mother died while I was coming to see you. I didn't turn back. You know why? The relationship with me and my mother was one of love, and she would have never wanted me to be there. My brother told my mother when I was about 10 years ago, he told her, yeah, you didn't like me. You didn't give me any love. You didn't give Fred any love either. That's me. So my mother said, what you say? You gave all your love to the pastor, not to Fred and me. My mother said, like, Fred, are you in on that? I said, ma'am, this boy was talking garbage. See, he told me he's serious. I'm never serious. I don't know what it is to be serious. I hear men talk about seriousness. Well, I don't know what you do with that. But my mama said, raise your hand up and open your fingers. Which finger would you elect to take off of your hand? I said, none. She said, thank you. My mother turned to my brother and said, you said that I didn't give Fred any love. Fred, you wanted my love? I said, nope. Didn't want it. I didn't need it. Because my mother knew if my mother ever interfered in my life, I would be upset. I was in the streets by the river all the time. My mother knows, all mother knows the child that needs her love, her attention. But she loves all. But she knows the one that needs the attention. I didn't want my mother attention. And she knew it. But my brother said that she didn't give him any. But the boy went to the 3rd grade. He owns a fishing fleet. He owns an ice factory. And he owns a... That she didn't give him any. But the boy went to the 3rd grade. He owns a fishing fleet. He owns an ice factory. And he owns a fleet of planes. And he said that his mother didn't give him love. You see how we could easily make mistakes? Okay. Mother is mother and will always be mothers. The greatest gender on the planet. So while I'm going to court now, and I'm standing, the judge said, get the man out of jail, and I went to his chambers. Judge Shorter said, young man, you mind if I ask you a question? I said, no, sir. Why did you advertise that you cure AIDS? Well, sir, my mother's alive, Africa exists, and my face, and I would never offend any of the three. That's why I advertise that I cure AIDS. He turned to the woman at the desk and said to her, ask her, did you investigate this man before you arrest him? She said, no. Her name was Phyllis Spade from the Attorney General office in New York. She said, no. You didn't investigate this man before you arrest him? This man, the response he gave me, he cured AIDS. But AIDS is the easiest thing to cure. People think that AIDS is difficult. To me, everything is easy, and to you, it should be too. And I'm going to show you why it's so easy. So the judge said, well, you're out in bail. And that was February the 12th, I got out of the 13th. But the case doesn't begin until 88. September. I have a year and 8 months. Why the judge gave me so much time, I would never understand. So I waited. Trial date. This is where the showdown with black and white. Not better or worse. We are not better than any white man or Chinese, no. We just happen to be different. That difference has never been treated by any religion or philosophy. There is a difference that needs to be understood. So while I went into court, the judge said, well, Dr. Sebi, will you please begin? Where do I begin? Begin where you say you cure AIDS and the physicians say there's no cure. The physicians are 100% right. There is no cure for AIDS or any other disease. The judge said, just a minute. There's a contradiction here. The newspaper says that you cure AIDS. Then you agreeing with the physicians. That's a contradiction. No, it's not. When you're limited, it is. But when you leave out the box, it isn't. She said, help me. She said, of course. The physician take the position that there is no cure for AIDS or any other disease, and the physician are 100% right, according to their philosophy and their perspective. Their medicine didn't show them a cure, so how could they say that there is a cure? But the perspective that prepared me, there is cure for AIDS and every other disease. Oh my God, when I said that, the physician jumped up. Your Honor, Dr. Victor Herbert said, Your Honor, what other perspective could there be? After all, you know, this patent on us, the FDA has a patent on us. You cannot talk. The FDA talk, you shut up. Oh yeah? Well, I'm gonna find out. So, the judge said, what perspective is yours? Dr. Victor Herbert, Dr. Bonanno, and Dr. Christopher said, how could there be another? I said, there is another, Your Honor. And what is the other? The African bioelectric cell food. I've never heard of such a thing. That's what the physician said. He had never heard of the African bioelectric cell food. I said, of course. But we have to remind the good physician that he have not heard of a whole lot of other things. But that doesn't deny the existence of the African biomineral electric cell food. What is it? Okay. The allopathic claim that there are multiple diseases. The African biomineral balance negate that position. There's only one disease, never been two. The allopathic claim that to treat the multiple disease you must use a chemical, which is violating God. Right? The African biobalance said no. It's a nutritional approach, electric food. Your Honor, I told you that this man was insane and unscientific. He said there's only one disease, but there's only one. Remember, I'm the boy that didn't go to school. I'm going to break things down to the least common denominator. When I was a steam engineer, I found out that in a machine, thermodynamics I'm talking about, or an automobile, the only thing that could cause this machine to go bad is what? Short circuit, obstruction, overheating. The same thing with the human body. So what did I do? I put compounds together that would cleanse the human body of what? Of mucus. In so doing, AIDS, sickle cell, lupus, herpes, blindness. It sounds too simple, right? Well, that's not my fault. They have complex things, and then they deal with the complexity. And boy, that's a job. But with us, on our journey from Africa to America, it was easy because the slave master had a ship and brought us over. But getting back to Africa, we get confounded. We can't go back now. We don't know how to go back. We better not even go back. Because when I tried to go back, this is what I did. My first trip with a passport was to Kenya. So I went to Kenya and they said, where your passport? I said, I have no passport. I said, I was taken away 500 years ago. I'm back. When I left, I didn't have any passport. So why are you asking me for a passport now? Is a passport African? Put him one side. They put me one side and send me back out. But you think that was bad? That wasn't bad. Wait. May I have that? I go to Africa. I go with my wife, and I said, well, boy, I'm happy. Girl, we're going to liberate Africa. We're going to do something for mother country. I go and I saw Dr. Parinyatwa in Zimbabwe. I said, Dr. Parinyatwa, I think your problems are over with. Not only Zimbabwe, all of Africa. Here is Hospital Vicente di Antoni, is an Italian hospital. Department of Blood and Laboratories. Oswald Zavala, HIV positive on the 25th of November of 1993. 17th of January of 1994, HIV negative. This boy named Alfredo Lagos, this from the Red Cross, the Honduran Red Cross. It says here that this boy, it doesn't show any date of which he contracted AIDS. Why? Because he was born with AIDS. But down here it says he's negative on the 19th day of January of 1995. Another one. This one caused a laboratory to call for me. I thought it was funny. This is the next one, the other one. His name is Alex Suarez. On the second day of January, this boy of August, he found himself with HIV positive. On the 19th day of August of the same year, 17 days later, the boy is no longer HIV positive. So they called me for what? I don't know. Because I know they're not going to change it. Now, this one you're going to like. This one is from the San Diego Public Health Laboratories. It says here that this man has a HIV-1 RNA 26,205. The boy was supposed to be dead at 25, right? Just go to the other page. 6 months later, he's less than 400. He was killed at 15. So anybody want to read it? Because I could be lying, because that's the way we think. But here it is. No, that's possible. I could be lying. Here, young lady. So, curing AIDS, brother and sister, look, that's the easiest thing for niggas to do. We could do more than that. Curing AIDS, to them is big thing. To us, it's nothing. You understand? But now, here is where this little culprit comes in. Where did I put it? The blood, nope, no good. Here it is. Blood and starch. Blood and starch? Blood and starch is going to prevent you from doing what the ants does for each other. Ants, when it's getting ready to rain, you know what they do? All the black ants, they begin to do what? Cut the leaves and take them to their little nests. Ants doesn't eat leaves. They eat the mycelia that grows on the leaves with the temperature. They are farmers, but they provide when it rains. Red ants does the same. But we black people, we can't do that. Because when your brother showed the world that he cured AIDS, why didn't the African countries jump on it? All the African people eat is blood and starch, nothing else. But that is the Africa that you and I dream about. The Africa that we want to save. The Africa that we all love. I found out that there is no president in Africa that is interested in the cure for AIDS. Not one. No, I'm sorry. Only one. I'm not going to name the country because I may jeopardize the country. Because the one thing I learned, that when you begin to talk favorable about a country or individual, they're going to soon get him. That is a fact. So I cannot talk about the country that said to Dr. Sebi, Dr. Sebi, whenever you want to return to Africa and begin this new empire, you have 5,000 acres of land and 6 hot springs. I don't need anything else. Hot springs? 5 hot springs with 5,000 acres of land? We could grow food. We could make the best dress. I said, sir, I am not going to come to your country unless I'm able to grow marijuana. He said, marijuana? He said, wait just a minute. He said, I can't do that. I said, well, the compounds I've been giving your nephew that was autistic, that now is talking, was marijuana. And as for you is concerned, when I came here, you weren't walking. You were dying. Now you're running up the steps in the presidency. Yes, marijuana. That's a God's product. That's not cigarettes. You see what happened? My brother used to smoke cigarettes, but my brother didn't know that the tobacco that he was smoking was artificial. God didn't make that. But marijuana, God did make that. So it must have been a good reason why I was told in school that everything God made is good. Well, I know that. I live that. And I always will smoke it for as long as I live. Why? Because I have that right. I have that right. It's not everybody that uses it, from autism to arthritis, is cured, because everything that God made is good. So as I go to Africa, all happy, I came back with my tail between my legs, because it ain't happening. It ain't gonna happen. They're not interested in that. But the one thing I noticed today and yesterday, and you may have heard it, President Clinton and Sanjay Gupta, they found the end of AIDS. How could they find the end of AIDS when they have not found the end of diabetes, the end for sickle cell, the end for any disease? But they're going to tell us that they're going to bypass these lesser diseases and jump on the major one, and they got the cure for it. I got documents to substantiate that I cure AIDS, right? So what's up? What's up? Well, I'm going to show you what's up. When I was in Zimbabwe, the Department of Health said, why do you come to us saying that you could help us? And your leaders in America didn't help you. My leaders in America? What do you mean by that? They mentioned Minister Fyetaine. I said, just a minute. I don't follow any man. I follow women. And I don't follow sick people. Because if I follow sick people, then I got to be sicker. I go to Brazil. They say, why don't you, if your leaders didn't help you, why should we? I say, my leaders, again, they brought these leaders in front of me. And they mentioned something like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson. I said, oh, God. I said, why you all ask me about these people? I never knew of Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton or Oprah Winfrey promoting something that is equitable and good for the black community. That's never been. What they could do is march. That I know. But why do you ask me about it? I'm asking you, why can't you incorporate this in your repertoire? You said me, I have no leaders. My leader's my mama. The biggest testicles that anybody I've ever seen, they was on my mama. So don't ask me about leaders. I don't follow leaders. I never was part of that thinking. I don't need anyone to lead me someplace. So now I'm asking you, what do we do now? I cure AIDS. Are you going to call Oprah? You don't need to. She could advertise 1 million pieces, broken pieces, right? But that's fine. But she cannot advertise the cure for humanity. But there's one little dude that got himself in trouble. And he was totally unaware of what was going to happen. This little dude, I'm home with my wife, enjoying myself, a Sunday afternoon, looking at TV, somebody threw a rock on my window. It's Randy Jackson. What did you want? My brother want to see you. Your brother? Michael? Okay. I went. Well, he's sick as hell. Well, I treated him, and he got cured. He saw it, and he was encouraged to take me to the Rayburn building on Capitol Hill. Oh, my God. This is going to really confound you. Michael Jackson took me to the Rayburn building on Capitol Hill on the 31st day of March? April. No, of March. March. It was March. 31st day of March of 2004. I said, why are you taking me there? Because you cure AIDS. I said, but what makes you think that they are interested in that? What makes you think that the world is interested? I don't care if it's any country in the world, they are not interested. Especially Africa. They were never interested. AIDS isn't killing Africa. Hepatitis C is killing Africa. All of West Africa is red line for hepatitis C. What you talking about? But they're Muslims. So they have to eat the Muslim food, which is goats and lamb. Go tell them that the Arabs pay food, which is goats and lamb. Go tell them that the Arabs played a trick on their brain. You cannot do that. Me, I remain the son of the jungle woman. The jungle woman that didn't have any clothes on. Yeah, I am her son. I stuck with her and she liberated me. You have to hear this. One morning, I woke up and I heard the music that was playing. You know how you turn your radio on and you're sleeping, but the music on the radio would influence you, and you dream that you're seeing the artist that's playing, right? You ever had that happen to you? This morning, I'm listening to John Coltrane. 4 o'clock in the morning on channel 850 on the TV. I'm sleeping, and I'm hearing John Coltrane playing Interstellar Space. But then something was happening while this music was playing. I was looking at a black woman doing this from behind a tree. I woke up, and I didn't know how to interpret that dream. But then I was leaving that morning for Los Angeles. As I got to the airport, the governor was there. The governor said, that's him. That's the man that cured Alcida of leukemia. That's the man I'm talking about. The governor had a lot of people around him. So I went, I was leaving for Los Angeles. He was leaving for the capital. He didn't know that we were going to meet that morning. So they was talking to me and asking me questions. Finally, 2 men that were standing away from me, they were white men from the United States. They came up to me and said, well, we have heard of your miracle cures. I said, sir, I don't even know what a miracle is, especially perform one. I just happen to cure leukemia. That's not a miracle. To you it may be. Because your school of thought have you to believe that curing these diseases is one great big feat. No, it's simple common sense. I'm an African. Now this is where the naked women are going to come out. They said to me, we have heard of your miracle cures, but have you been saved? You see? Right there, I consider that an imposition. Why do you take the liberty to believe that I'm one of those that have accepted your philosophy that I have to be saved? I say, from what? The man politely answered and said, from your sins, of course. I said, wait just a minute. I said, you know, man, while you guys were standing over there, I said, and I looked at you both, and I said, two very intelligent young men. But now I have to question that. He said, why? I said, well, because the color of my skin should have prevented you from asking me that question, have I been saved? He said, what does the color of your skin have to do with anything? I say, it has to do with everything. I am the son of a woman that was taken away from the forests of Africa. She, to begin with, she didn't have any clothes on. But she didn't have any alcohol. And she didn't have any prostitution. And she didn't have any supermarkets. And she didn't have a hospital. And she didn't need anything that God didn't make. And she didn't have any money. So all these things constitute sin. So my mother in the jungles was sinless. How did I become sinful? You cut it out. You stop that. We have to begin to change our diet, because this diet here of blood and starch is all we eat. That is all we eat. And then with this diet of blood and starch, which confounds the hormonal structure, we have the nerve to tell each other's, brother, you were wrong. I'm wrong? I mean, where did you get that from, I'm wrong? You've been eating blood and starch, and you're going to tell me I'm wrong. No. We got to stop it. Because the blood and starch is why I couldn't penetrate Africa. So, you forgot, right? I'm in the Rayborn building. Who is present? Sheila Jackson Lee from Texas, right? John Conyers, Illinois. Or Detroit? Jesse Jackson Jr. from the House of Appropriation. Our most beloved President Bush. No, we have to give him credit. And no African government ever given me the privilege to practice herbology. Bush did. Bush appropriated $5 billion to fight AIDS in Africa, right? And the African government didn't appropriate one dime. They didn't want their brother to do it for free. So Bush stands out way above there. Bush gave $5 billion, and Jesse Jackson Jr. is there. So when I go to the podium and I say, fellas, y'all don't have to look for the cure of AIDS anymore. Here it is. Jesse Jackson Jr. did this. I said, I'm going to talk about this. I have to write about this in my book. Because you, not me, but you and I believe in the leaders. We hope that they could do something, right? Well, they had a chance. So 17 African ambassadors, only one came to me from Mali. The only man came to me and said, Dr. Sebi, I have to respect your position, and I appreciate your position. You have proven that you cure AIDS, and I would like for you to go to Mali. But that's not the country I was talking about previously. He just presented himself that day. But Jesse Jackson Jr. didn't tell you that I cure AIDS, right? He didn't tell his daddy either, isn't it? And Miss Sheila Jackson Lee didn't talk about it, right? And so did John Conyers. So who gives a damn? You see?
But that's good. That's good. We don't need leaders, isn't it? So we're going to do it. Because we're doing it now. Because those black women I'm talking about, there's one sitting there. They are going to tell the world we cure AIDS. But last night, Clinton and Sanjay Gupta is on CNN talking about the end of AIDS. How about the end of sickle cell? How about the end of lupus? How about the end of herpes? How about the end of blindness? They didn't find those, but they find the end of AIDS. How is that possible? Are we going to buy that too? Are we going to let them continue to say that there's no cure for AIDS when your brother's curing it? So we are guilty. We are the one that's guilty, not the leaders, because they're sick. All the leaders are sick. You can look at them and tell they're sick. So we have to forget about the leaders, right? So which animal in the forest follows a male? None, right? They all follow females. So how did we begin to follow males? I mean, that was the most, look, the one thing I wanted in my life was a woman laying by me as my significant other or my wife, that she didn't have a God or a devil in her brain. That woman is sitting there. Because I could not have a woman laying by me and she worshiping something else. I mean nothing to her. No, you worship you. That's who you worship. That's who we worship in the forest. And we were doing quite well because none of us, her children, could talk about how long did our parents live in the forest of Africa. You don't know. For millions of years since creation. Did we have money? We live a perpetual vacation. Now I've got to wear this stupid suit on. When I didn't have to wear any clothes. But now just to live, I have to have a $15,000 suit on, a $5,000 shoes. I have to have all kind of stuff on me. And then I qualify. I qualified. Do you have a master's degree? Man, I didn't go to school. Oh, put him aside. So in essence, there's no one on this planet that is interested in the cure for any disease. None of the leaders, none of those who are talking, they are not interested. It was simple. It was understanding that is alkalinity that cures, not acidity. And any healer that comes to you with these things, like adding carrots, like moringa, it says here, one of the things that I are careful with, it says here, if you add carrot juice with it, it's going to help you. But just a minute, carrot was made by some dude in Holland. It's very acid. So this moringa knows that you have both eyes closed, so I could sell you anything. We don't want that anymore. We don't want to tell stories anymore. We don't want to protect the stories anymore. But you see what happened? When you have been healing or call yourself a healer for 20 or 30 years using comfrey and rose hips and recommending tofu, and someone come on the set and says that you may not be quite right, man, you get off there. You begin to get crazy. You begin to go crazy on that person because you have invested 30 years and people know you, and now you can't turn back and say, I was wrong. Well, I was wrong. And it was one little lady, 94 years of age, named Mrs. Holloman. I was along with the rest of the healers. I was reading these books by Jethro Kloss, Alma Hutchins, Indian Herbology of North America, Myers, Christopher, also this other named Shooks. And they all have calcium in it, so I had to believe that, right? And I went to Mrs. Holloman. I said, Mrs. Holloman, you got to drink carrot juice. She said, sit down, boy. I think you're crazy. I think you're out of your mind. I'm 94 years of age. I don't wear glasses. I don't need you to come and tell me to drink carrot juice because I know that carrot is a poison. I was in Rattan, the island of Rattan, and a woman was listening to me talk, and she asked me, what is the best breakfast in the morning? I said, I don't know. She said, a glass of hot water. I know she was right. The sister was right. So in essence, all of the hoopla about AIDS was just noise. We've been curing AIDS since 1984. Why didn't you know about it? The media didn't let you hear it, right? Jesse Jackson Jr. didn't talk about it, right? Well, I think in the book I have to mention his name because this is what's happening. They're lying to us, and we have to stop it. We have the cure for every disease in the world. We, the black race, is responsible. Not the white, not the Chinese, not the Arab. The Arab need help. They need help now. All Arabs need help because there's no way in the world where you find the highest incidence of eye problem like Arabia because they eat lamb. But could you go and tell an Arab to stop eating his lamb? It's like going to tell someone that uses cocaine, stop. Then you're crazy. Like going to Africa and tell a Maasai, hey Maasai, you only live 47 years, man, and you're gonna die because you're eating raw blood and starch. He's gonna chop your head off, and he should. Then we go to Guinea, and my wife came to me running. She said, the young man in there with his wife, he's 19, and she's complaining he's impotent. At 19, she said, yes. My wife came with it. What happened? We asked the boy, what does he eat? He eats cassava. Cassava? What do you say, raw? Yes, go to Guinea. It's a what? Cassava. I want you to go to any African country and tell them, no, just ask them, please, why do you eat cassava? Oh, this is African. This is from history. Hey, African, I know you've been bamboozled too, because cassava is not a product of nature, nor of Africa. Cassava is a starch that needs the aid of a man to grow it. Cassava cannot grow by itself, and it has cyanide. But the cyanide has already affected the brain. He cannot think for himself. It's like talking to a Haitian or a Brazilian. In fact, the only country that I have ever visited that have people dark like me, but nobody in Brazil is black. Brazil. If you go and research the census of Brazil, you will never find a black person in Brazil. Everybody is white. That is how much they have offended us, that we hate the very image that God made. Something is wrong. Something got to be wrong. Me, I was a very good Christian and a very good Muslim, a very good Buddha, and I wanted to join the, well, I don't want to mention it, but anyway, I was a good everything. But what I found, that they were feeding me the wrong food, and I had to deny all of them because they feed us garbage. There isn't a religion in the world that have fed the black race in America or anywhere in the world the food that is consistent with their cellular predisposition. So if you, my religion, is feeding me the wrong food, then what is the message you are sending? It's like putting gasoline in a diesel car. You would not get to South Philly. No, you're not. It's not going to run right. But we're eating starch and blood, and we want a dialogue. Dialogue based on what? I mean, come on now. We are the remnants of what world? Let us try to bring it back. We can't challenge each other's. The only thing we have to offer each other's now is love. But to get to that point, a sister told me the other day, because I made a statement in the church, a brave woman stood up and asked me, Dr. Sebi, what have you learned from the entity that you are forwarding to us now? What have you learned from it? I learned to kiss everybody's butt. And I meant that. It came out that way in the church. Well, I had to give it that way, because that is the way it came to my brain. I kiss everybody's butt. It's easy. You see, it makes it easy. When you start kicking it, somebody's going to do something to you. And when you start kissing it, they reward you. So this sister came to me, and she was very smart. She said, do you literally? I said, drop your panties. Well, I came out of a woman's vagina. I could kiss her rear end. That's easy, isn't it? Is it easy? See, I have no what you all call shame. I don't know what that is. I'm not serious. I'm not ashamed. I'm not a man. I'm a male. Beyond. See, I have no what you all call shame. I don't know what that is. I'm not serious. I'm not ashamed. I'm not a man. I'm a male. Beyond that, I don't know. You guys are men. I'm a male. I stay there. It's easy. So, brothers and sisters, look. The deal is this. We have the cure for AIDS. Now you're going to get a chance to ask questions. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to ask whatever question comes to your brain. Feel free to ask. I mean, please, don't you hesitate. Don't you feel that you have to restrict yourself. I know Brother Adis is here. He may ask a few. I'm glad to see the brother, you know. Brother Adis is a brother I've been knowing for years. Stand up, brother. When I saw the brother the other day, I was very encouraged because the brother looks good. Yes, sir. I appreciate the brother. The brother looks good. The brother, I remember him and Sultan and Kwasi in New York. I would hope that Kwasi would come. And a bunch of other brothers. It was a bunch of us brothers. We were in love. New York was, look, we were in love. There was a love that we used to share that was so nice, so warm. But none of us, or all of us, understood that we couldn't follow anybody. Because if you start following one, you have to dislike the other group. But I'm a black man. I have to love everybody. I have to love Muslims. I have to love Buddhists. I have to love Christians. So if I have to love everybody, then I'm going to make it easy. I ain't joining nobody. Because I have to love everybody anyway. So it makes it easy. So now we go to the question. The sister, and then you, another, yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Is it necessary to circumcise the male child?
Again, sit down. The sister asked, is it necessary to circumcise the boy, the male child? Well, who started that? European. Who? My last little girl was born. I said, I told her mother, if this child is born and I'm not here, you will not cut the navel string, okay? You understand? Listen to me now, Fanny. You will not cut this baby navel string. Okay, and I'm going to tell you how to do it. When the baby's born, you put the baby on your chest and let the baby suck your breast. The placenta is going to come right out. You put the placenta in a bowl and put some flowers on it. Keep the navel string attached to the baby until the placenta. 4 days later, it falls off the baby. You throw away everything. No cutting, no stress. No, it isn't necessary to circumcise, because I was never circumcised. It was you. Next.
I was intrigued by you before and was very successful with it. But I'm a backslider and I want to know, what is the cure for AIDS so I can get back on track?
She said that I treated her before and that she was cured, but something happened. I don't know. She wanted to get back on track. And the next question about how do I cure AIDS? Well, I have a daughter now that's 21, and she's the key to beautiful things. She's the daughter of this woman. Her mother hated me, and with all rights. The woman was right. Oh God, she was right. I had 2 wives in the same house, and this woman is in love with me. Oh God, this nigga's crazy. He's a Solomon. Nigga, look, you are a jive, MF. Her mother cursed me out. She cursed me out, and I'm standing looking at Miss Margaret, and I could see the hurt in her eyes, because this woman is in love with this man that already have 2 wives in the same house. Boy, what do I do? And I find myself in this triangle here and don't know how I got in it. But years went by. No, she got a baby. She got pregnant. They kicked her out of the house. But that's okay. She had the baby, little girl, Zave. Zave grew up. Zave was 19. She cured her mother, her grandmother, of diabetes. The little girl that this woman didn't want to come into the world grew up to cure her of diabetes. Last month I got a notice from the mother that Zave just killed a woman in New York of AIDS. How do we cure AIDS? It's simple. We put the compounds together to address the mucous membrane, to cleanse the mucous membrane, to cleanse the bowels. Simultaneously, we went to the forest and found the herbs such as over here on the alkali side, sarsaparilla is an herb that has the highest concentrate of iron. Fluorine, iron. Guaco, that is a plant that has, I thought I had a stick with me because I'm always chewing on it. This is guaco. Guaco is a plant that would definitely strengthen the immune system because it is iron again. But it has potassium iodide. No, potassium phosphate, not iodide. Iodide comes from the ocean. Kankansa, that's an African plant. Kankansa is an African plant. This plant has one of the highest concentrate of what? Potassium phosphate. Those are just few of the plants. We use about 40 some odd plants to cleanse the body, strengthen the immune system, and electrify the system, because you want to electrify the body. That's how simple we cure AIDS. We cure AIDS. We don't treat AIDS. This thing here says that Moringa said, and they keep repeating it, that they uses it with the belief that it's going to cure. They think, oh no, we got to stop talking like that. We cure. That's how we got to start talking. If you don't cure, get out of the way, because you're lying to people. Next question. The brother. Peace and blessing.
I'm really enjoying your lecture, and my question is, when you see a client, what's your thought process?
When I see a client, my thought process, I already know what the brother needs. Like the Mexican knew what I needed. The Mexican said, you're dying because you have disobeyed. Unconsciously you disobeyed. So when a brother comes to me, I already know what the brother needs. I don't need to go into a whole bunch of scientific jargons and intimidating the brother by putting light in his eyes, iridology. I don't do that. I don't do anything. I just give you what I know you need. People come to me for compounds from Japan. She killed a woman in Japan named Kaoto Kita in Kobe. She never seen a woman. She was in hospice already. With cancer what? The lungs. There you go. Cancer of the lungs in hospice. She never seen the woman. In a month time, she's vacationing in Hawaii. Okay, there you got it. Yes. Hard than you. Yes, the sister.
And I have a sister she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and she's been in my care for 2 years. I do have her on a fresh food diet, all organic foods, all raw foods, and I'm seeing a big improvement. But I feel as though she needs some other things. And what else can I do to help her?
Alzheimer's.
She has Alzheimer's, yes, sir.
Okay, Alzheimer's. That's a brain problem, right? Remember what I said? There's only one disease? Okay. When you have mucus in the nasal passage, it is sinusitis. When you have mucus in the bronchial tubes, it's bronchitis. When you have mucus in the lungs, it's pneumonia. But now you have mucus where? For you to have Alzheimer's, where is the mucus? So we have to remove the mucus from out of the system, especially the brain, but then we have to feed the brain. That's where biochemistry comes into play. The brain. Like if the sister was suffering with rickets, that's bones, right? So we have to address calcium. If she had leukemia, it would be blood, that's iron. But now she has Alzheimer's. She has mucus in the brain, which prevents the brain from receiving what? Oxygen. Now, what is the brain composed of? Copper and carbon. That is what produces electricity. Copper and carbon. It's simple. Copper and carbon produces electricity. You go to an electrical plant, and all you're going to see is a big wheel turning, and it's copper. But against the wheel are these carbon brushes, and the friction of the carbon and the copper produces the resonance they call electricity. Electricity is not fire, it is vibration. But when you short circuit it, it's become fire. So yes, we do have, but she must go to Honduras. What is her age approximately? What? Oh, she's young. She's young. She's very young. She could go to Honduras, and it would be fast. Why Honduras? Like sister went to Honduras with her husband, Linda, Richie, and her husband. She will see the improvement in days. Like the woman went down with a goiter. Like the brother went down there with his stiff leg, and in 3 days he was running up the hill. And he could not believe it. Like, this is where a name comes to mind. And I want you all to remember this, because this is a woman that we all love and we all respect. A brother was taken to Honduras, to the village. You see, the thermal waters in the village has a pH of 8.9. One of the highest attainable pH in waters is found in Honduras and in Africa. Thermal waters, that is. The little boy named Shelby, he has AIDS. He has Kaposi sarcoma. All the black spots on his body. The boy went to the thermal bath 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. The boy came out of the bathroom screaming. The black spots were gone. His mother and my wife Ma'a were very close friends. Ma'a told Malakia, take Shelby to Honduras. On the 4th day, he's doing good. How long is Shelby going to stay there? 1 month. I said, 1 month, he's killed. On the 4th day, the soul disappeared, right? On the 10th day, he tell his mama, I want my passport. So for what? I want to go back to Los Angeles. Dr. Sebi says that you have to stay here a month. He said, bitch, did you hear me? That is what we, mothers and fathers, get from our children today because of those hamburgers. It wasn't Shelby's fault. It wasn't that child's fault. That child went back to Los Angeles and began to use crack and died about 2 months later. But Malakia is telling the sister that you all know very well about the incident. Present was Oprah Winfrey, and she said, she was telling the story to her aunt, which is Maya Angelou. Well, I'm nobody. I'm nobody anywhere in the world. I just happen to cure AIDS, but that means absolutely nothing. My son told me I messed up. I should have been a boxer in cracking people's jaws. I get millions of dollars. But the crack jaw come to you and they pay you pennies. So you are nobody, daddy. In this world of today, curing AIDS or any disease means absolutely nothing. I am not a famous person. I'm insignificant. So Miss Oprah Winfrey said, well, if he's that good, how come I haven't heard of him? Well, I'm not famous. Oprah.
His wife.
Oh. My book would be out in July. I know she's not going to advertise it, although she suffered embarrassment with 1 million broken pieces. But that's okay. We have to remember the blood and starch. So when you go home, you remember that blood and starch, because that prevents you from liking you, from loving yourself, because I was there. I was there. Did I want to blow my brains out once? Yes, I did. Well, why was that? I was stressed. I was eating blood and starch. But when the Mexican came and said I was wrong, I listened. And here I am, 42 years later. Do you see the benefits of this? A Mexican came to rescue me, to rescue you. So we cannot. But wait, the other part of it is Africa. There isn't an African country that I could go and practice herbology. But why did Bush, who all of us think, or most of us think the man is bad, how come I could practice herbology in the United States?
You got power over him. That's why.
I don't have any power. No, I don't. Because I don't even know what power is. I just know what's mine. That's all. I know what's mine and what's yours, what's ours. So what's ours, when the Supreme Court said, the FDA said, you are not supposed to sell these products. Exhibit A. The FDA said, what? That I'm not supposed to sell my products? Well, maybe the FDA knows the food that is consistent with the African cellular predisposition. Because when they removed us from Africa, they didn't bring our food with us. Maybe the FDA knows about these foods. Could you tell us, please, Mr. FDA? But when the FDA talks, we get scared. Scared of what? They're not God. You understand me? No, I don't have any power over nobody. I don't want that. If you know what I like to do, you will know I don't want any power. the brother in the back.
Hepatitis C.
Yes, sir. Mr. Charles Fisher. Who is Charles Fisher? He was the manager for LL Cool J. That was my second case of hepatitis C. Yes, what is hepatitis C? The liver has been stressed.
Right.
Beyond hepatitis C is nothing. Maria Elena from San Pedro had cancer of the liver. Her mother and her aunt bought the black dress to bury her. The doctor sent her home to die. Maria Elena's sister saw a newspaper with me in it. She said, hey, there's a nigger down there in Jutiapa that got a big mouth that says he could do a bunch of stuff. And she came. 2 years have gone by. Maria Elena is healthier than her sister. Yes. What is hepatitis C? It's when the liver has got so toxic and loaded with what? With poison. Blood and starch. So we clean it, clean the body, because you have to clean the intestines, you have to clean the liver, you have to clean the blood, because all of these have been affected. Yes, brother, we have cured many of hepatitis C.
So what herbs would you use, doctor?
It's not an herb, it's a therapy.
Therapy?
It's a therapy we have.
Okay, I was so encouraged to, what's that, interferon.
Interferon?
Yeah, I was encouraged to be...
Brother, interferon is something that's been on the set for 25 years, and I have been curing AIDS and sickle cell and lupus, herpes, blindness, and paralysis. Interferon doesn't do that. Interferon is a chemical that is derived from the penis of a brother. You know that, right? You know it. Yeah. That's not even right. Come on, the Bible says the herbs are for the healing of the nation. The Bible isn't saying about chemicals. Right? Okay. So now, we could tell the world, yes, we object. Oh, one more thing. One more thing is very important. Many of you have insurance companies, right? Insurances. And on that sheet, it says that they do not honor anyone that isn't an accredited physician. Meaning that you are compelled to go to see a physician to give you his chemicals. But now, they are telling you that they're God. And that you have no other recourse. But let me tell you something. Yes, they have to honor us. Because we have the only compound in the world that is consistent with our cellular predisposition. Nobody else.
Can you give us some foods that are alkaline?
Food that are alkaline. We could begin with mushrooms. We could begin with mushrooms, quinoa, quinoa, amaranth, mushrooms, portobello, crimini, also oyster mushrooms. Many people are of the opinion that oyster mushrooms or mushrooms are fungus. What is a fungus? A fungus is something that grows on you and eats things up. Mushrooms are the product of mycelia. This is a network that nourishes. I have cured many diseases, psychological problems, with the Stropharia cubensis. So let me tell you something, mushrooms are very good. They're high in potassium. Yes. And then the next, wait.
Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
I know the blood and the starch is two of the things you said that we should get rid of. I'm working really hard. I've gotten rid of the blood. I'm having a hard time with the starch. I just needed an idea of some things too.
To substitute.
Yeah, substitute.
Well,
and one more question, water. I do the distill, but I hear a lot about, you know, drink spring, drink distill, which I do the distill a lot.
Okay. About the starches, you could eat quinoa or amaranth. And also spelt. You could buy the spelt pasta. Spelt. You could buy spelt. I eat a lot of spelt. And you know something? I learned something lately, like I'm learning something every day. Because I don't know everything. I don't want to know everything. And it's impossible for me to know everything. But I learned this. That when you combine spelt flour, quinoa, and amaranth together, just the pure powder, the flour, and you want to bake something, if you just add the almond milk and the sea salt and the other ingredients, such as you could add a little bit of what? Agave is good. That's very good. But now, if you want this flour to rise up and be fluffy, who said sea moss? You did. You cook the sea moss to a jelly, and you take about 2 tablespoons, and you put that cooked sea moss in the batter, along with the almond milk and the rest of the ingredient, and that stuff becomes fluffy. I said, this is a natural yeast. And someone hit me to that, which was Gary, right? Gary Ricketts worked with me for many years, and he still works with me. And he put that together. He made a waffle. Oh my God! I used to go to Gary's house in the morning just to eat his waffle. But his waffle was sweet because he used to put the maple syrup in it, in the batter, and then he make the waffle. You didn't have to put any maple syrup on it after that. It was delicious. And in the morning, okay, just let me go quick through all.
Peace, Dr. Savy. I wanted to know if you accepted practicums, internships.
What's that?
Internships, like practicums, to come and learn. Well, I came from Honduras,
You come from Honduras?
No, I wanted to practice. I wanted to know if I could have an internship.
Oh, if you want to...
I know you say black woman is key.
So as a student?
Yes.
Well, that is what we're working on now, because the woman took over the whole thing, my daughters and the woman that associated with them. And they would like many more sisters to join in, because I'm out of here. I want to go sit down by the river and smoke my dope.
Well, can I get your information?
What's that?
Can I get your information?
So wait, the sisters, give her your number, because she's the one that's in charge of that, and I'm quite sure that she's going to consider you.
Okay.
Wait, the brother is deciding.
Gotta look around, brother. Gotta look around.
Hi. Thank you for coming.
Yes. My name is Justine, and what I want to know is, how do you get rid of fear?
How to get rid of fear?
Yes, fear.
Ha ha! There ain't a nigga in the world as scared as me. And you want me to tell you how to get rid of fear. But you know something about fear? Fear. Fear is a natural occurrence. You don't get rid of fear. You understand fear. You don't get rid of it, because fear is necessary. But you don't let fear control you, right? Because it would paralyze you. Fear would prevent you from opening the door where there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Fear, you see, when I was insane, to a greater extent than I am now, I was placed in a psychiatric ward in New Jersey. And they were right. But what they didn't know, that I was aware that I was sick. I was also aware that I would not take any of anything that they gave me in that hospital. But there was a man that, you know the swinging doors, right? A swinging door is a door that opens both ways, and you're going to swing it. And every time he came to his door to go inside his room, he used to stand there. And he could never open that door. I used to go by and swing the door. And he'd go in and say, thank you, man. Why couldn't he open that door? Fear. But once you open the door and you see this great big thing, fear is gone. A bright tomorrow, hey, I'm no longer in fear. But then comes another one that's going to trick you. What that surety? Is E? All right. Surety. Surety make you do this. Yeah, I'm bad now, but there could be a quicksand there, and you're gone. So you learn that when you conquer fear, then you walk, but you test carefully. And if you conquer surety, then you go into the other one. And this I'm going to really trick you. Power. Power gives you a freedom to execute, but not to violate. Because if you violate, even though you're in power, they will kill you. They did that to Nicolae Ceausescu, right? In Czechoslovakia. Because Nicolae Ceausescu wanted everyone to stop eating meat. Because he knew. But you don't change people overnight. They killed the man. Because he imposed some other laws on them that were cruel. He used to kill them too. So power has to be understood, not to be misused. Then if you survive power, then you get the last one that's going to get you. So you see, it's all about peace. I'm happy that I'm 73 years of age and that I'm happy, but I have to thank the Mexican. But when I go around my brother's 73, are you all right? I say, Marcel, that's the only one alive now. My age. I say, you asking me if I'm all right? No, man, I'm not all right. He's coughing. He got these back pains and stuff. And I say, you could do better than that. Because you're only 72, I'm a year older than him. But he can't see beyond where he's at. And I shouldn't expect for him to make such a leap, because I didn't do it that way either. Because even after the Mexican had stopped me from eating the stuff, I went back cheating with some chicken. And one day I went by Brother Bill's Tenors, the Golden Bird. You all know the Golden Bird in LA, right? You remember that? And I bought some Golden Bird chicken. I ran home, and I look out the window, nobody's coming. and take it outside and spray the house, because they had these 4 black women. They were nosy. These black women were nosy. They always go out. What you have? You open the refrigerator, looking all around. They must have seen something in me. But these 4 black women were the one that stopped me from lying. Stop eating that chicken, the last thing. But here I am. And I'm happy to say that here I am. Because I want all my brothers to say, here I am, at 80 or 90. Because the man that healed me was 94, and he had 2 wives in Mexico. He was healthy, wore no glasses, and he was always laughing. He said, look, before you leave, remember this. Never you socialize with people that are serious. Serious people are sick. Because there's no reason to be serious. Because I cure AIDS and diabetes, I've proven that. And I'm not serious. I'm your brother. I want to play with you. I play with my wife all the time. I don't have no time to this other stuff. If this other stuff comes in, then something is wrong. Next question.
Hi, Dr. Seavey. My question is, as a woman, how do you cure high blood pressure and rapid hair loss?
High blood pressure and what?
Rapid hair loss.
Rapid hair loss?
Hair.
Or hair loss. High blood pressure. High blood pressure is easy. Just stop eating. Where we have the product to remove the pressure immediately. People go down to Honduras, and in less than 3 days, the pressure's down. The man just came from Caymans. That's right, Caymans. Grand Caymans. He came down with high blood pressure, diabetes, and impotent. A young brother, 52. 3 days later, man, my pressure is down. Dr. Sabi, my pressure is down. See, yes, I know that. What's the problem there? Why are you so amazed? 5 days later, my sugar is gone. I don't have no more sugar. And then, on the 10th day, he come with his girlfriend telling me. I like to see that. Because I was impotent. And these old folks in Honduras was telling me to drink eggs and wine and meat, cheese, butter. And the Mexicans say, you're crazy. Stop eating, and you can get all the sex you want. Stop eating, and it happened. So brothers, if you're in trouble, stop eating. And there's a product outside, they call it viento. Brother, I don't care how much in deficit you are, you will be out in less than 24 hours. I know. I have to be abreast with that because my wife is 20 years younger than me. I can't allow this woman to get ahead of me. You understand? And she looks good and she's youthful. So I have to maintain energy. And I want all of you brothers to understand that stuff that we eat, wait. Just draw this for you, that we will see what it is I'm talking about. Because this is important. I recorded a man from the age of 15. I saw his life because I was a curious boy. Remember, I'm the boy that didn't go to school. So I was looking at things that the schoolboy wasn't looking at or seeing. This man named Brindley, he was in his 20s. I was 21, he was 25, 4 years older than me. And he was the dude, a woman's man. But when I was in my 40s and I went back to Honduras, Brindley was 46, I was 41. And Brindley was like, yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. His wife gone. She's a seamstress. She's gone a long time. But when he was young, he had every woman in the world. I said, Brindley, what happened? Man, you know, I'm old now. I said, hey, nigga, you're 46. I'm 41. There again, what is old? What is old? Old is when you get to my age. 73, nigga, you old. Sure, I'm old. If I had a big belly on me, and I wore these glasses, and I was hooked up to a machine, and no woman want an old sick man beside her. So brothers, look, stop eating blood. Because when you get to my age, you want to be healthy. You want to be playing with her, right? Sure you do. Why not? She's your companion. You want to play and laugh with this woman. Brindley couldn't. Why? You see, this stuff right here. This is what a man plays his manhoodness with, his penis. Yeah, I'm a man. But in here, to keep this penis erected, these little orifices, they call veins and the rest, has to be opened for the blood to flow, or else You think I can't talk about it? I was 30 years of age. That was happening to me. And the last person that saw that was a woman named Audrey Williams. She said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "I don't know." She said, "You're sick. You better see a doctor because you're too young. You're 30 years of age." And I did. And it happened. But I had to stop eating. On the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th day, I was happy. On the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, I was going and holding on to the bathroom. Everything was spinning around. Why? Because all of the mucus that was leaving my brain, my eyes was very foggy. I couldn't see. I was already wearing glasses, but now it's worse. But on the 17th, 18th, 19th, on the 17th day I woke up, I was looking at the ceiling, and I remember feeling so calm, a feeling that I had not experienced in many, many, many years. I was calm. On the 27th day, I didn't hear the wheezing in my chest from the asthma. My diabetes, I couldn't find glucose in my sugar. But on the 57th day of fasting, of not eating anything, I had an erection. Why? Why? Aha! They drain out. It drained out because I was taking these herbs and drinking water. Taking these herbs and juice and drinking water. And the body got a chance to do what? Cleanse itself. You see, it's easy. It's easy to bring back that happiness that we could love, that we could share.
What up, y'all? What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? All right, let's have some fun. Everybody good? All right, if you don't know how these work, I don't know what you've been doing, but there's probably one person that's like, what's going on down there tonight? So silence your cell phone. And then tonight is different. It's not the normal stand-up I get to do where I get to do jokes and then crowd work and then like go back and forth. And tonight I just got to like work with what's in front of me or what I thought about since I woke up. And then we put these on YouTube. And then I cross my fingers like, I hope they like it. Really, I hope y'all like it. Shit, I don't know. I do not know what we're about to talk about, but we're going to have us some fun. But we're going to try. Shit. All right, so here's the rules. If I look at you and you don't want no shit, look away. Just like that. And that goes for the whole table. So if you thought you was going to get talked about and the person at your table look away, you're going to have to just be upset in the car. It's not my responsibility. Rule number 2, if I look at you and you look at me and I start and you don't like the direction I'm going, looking away will not save you, it's too late. And rule number 3 is don't be sensitive on behalf of other people. Fuck them. That's it. And so we're just gonna make this shit up. Cool? All right. So we got some lesbians, we got some black love, we got some lesbians, we got some regular love. You're not a lesbian? Oh. I wasn't even talking to whoever that was. They were scissoring right when I said it. Oh, we are, right here. You not a lesbian? No, you throwing me off with this this masculine ass tank top you got on.
We've been friends for 20 years.
Okay. Girls' night? Outstanding. And so I'd like to talk to you since she's so outgoing. We're gonna cool her engines off just a little bit. What's your name?
Tawny.
Tawny? That's dope. That's like the paper towels? And then, what's your name, sir? Did you flip me off? Fuck me? No.
My name's Renee.
Renee? Nice to meet you, Renee. And so where do you lift at? Are you getting ready for a show or something? Are you cutting right now or bulking? Which one are you doing?
Not really cutting at this point in time. I'm from Thurston County.
You're from Thurston County? North Thurston High School?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you strike me as a North Thurston Ram.
I mean, we're
Where I'm from, there's 3 different high schools. One of them, all the kids got money. The other one, all the kids are a little hood. And the other one, the girls chew tobacco. So I guess chew tobacco school. She was like, right here, motherfucker, I got a dip in right now. I didn't motherfucker Bobby Boucher came back at halftime and the goddamn Mud Dog won the motherfucking Super Bowl. Y'all remember Bobby Boucher came back down? That's what it sounded like when she lost her virginity. Here's a bitch right here. Come on now. Yeah. It's a beautiful day. Giving dick to Renee. So, Tawny, you didn't go to North Thurston, huh?
She didn't.
I could tell. Are you from Thurston County as well?
Yes.
So you went to Timberline?
I grew up on Buckeye.
So you went to Timberline? Yeah, see, that's the school with the money. You got your sunglasses on top of your head like you've been to Moses Lake a few times. And I went to the 3rd school, so we were a little hood at my school. It wasn't like dangerous hood, but we had people making beats on the table in the cafeteria before school started. All you need is a pencil. We rappers now. From hood to hood, backyard to yard. That's every high school experience with more than 10% blacks. That's what we did. And so these are lesbians too, right? Okay, we got a little collection going. Y'all too, right? Okay, 1, 4, 5. 2 of y'all, or you just a single lesbian? You what? You have a wife? Is your wife with you? Okay. You just left her? These are some basic answers, but they are the answer. Her wife at home like, I could have had a man for this. Just gonna be stuck at the house? Fuck. And so this is a couple, you got your hand locked around her hand. This is love right here, huh? Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Okay, so you like monster trucks. Tough ass white woman. Hell yeah! You didn't go to North Thurston by chance, just, okay, all right. Yelm.
Area, from Cali.
You from where?
Cali.
You from Cali?
Yeah.
What part?
Bay Area.
What part?
Monterey.
What part?
Monterey.
What part? It got sides, motherfucker. Don't act like that. I'm well traveled. You from the side that takes shit or the side that shit keeps getting taken from? She said, we take shit where I'm from. And so how long you been driving trucks, man?
Security supervisor.
You don't drive trucks? Well, goddamn, what do? You look like a truck driver.
I'm a security supervisor at McNeil.
Security supervisor?
At McNeil Island.
At McNeil Island? That's the prison, ain't it?
It
is.
It's a commitment center for sexually violent predators.
You're at a commitment center for sexually violent predators?
Yes, sir.
Jesus Christ, sir. You see anybody in here you recognize? We got a pack of wild lesbians in this motherfucker. You sure? Especially that one back there. She left her wife to come out and cheat and take some pussy. Ain't this a bitch? She out here. Well, thank you for coming to laugh with us. I'm pretty sure that's not very funny of a job on a regular basis. Have you ever seen this young lady next to you? Just out of just sheer curiosity. Okay. You have something to say, Tani?
I was going to say, I work for Department of Corrections too. So we.
Oh, you work for him?
Oh, we work together.
Okay. You recognize her?
I work for DSHS.
Oh, okay. And who do you work for?
Department of Corrections.
You in jail. He outside of jail?
I monitor the prison.
You monitor the prison. Do prisoners see you every day?
Not every day, but mostly. I get to see that.
You got a special one? She's like, yeah. I just love 4453461. He looks like he can fuck. All right. And then how about you two? This is a happy couple right here? Outstanding. It is? This not like a father-daughter situation? Sir, how much older than her are you? Shit. 6 years? You must have found the fountain of youth. And he got lost in the old forest. You aged like a president. First black female president of the United States. All right, this is gonna go good. I can feel the energy is getting to where I like it. We're gonna have some fun. I do want to talk to you guys the most out of everybody I just interacted with. Well, you guys and the lesbians right here. I want to talk to Michael B. Jordan right there pretty bad too. You were the shit in Creed, girl. Hey, so what's your name, sir?
Chris.
Chris. That's a nice regular name.